Hi friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And what I have for you today is a video that I think is pretty important. In case you didn't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so what I decided to do is grab some movies out of my collection, and I think I grabbed 12. I probably could have grabbed 50. And in these movies, one or more of the characters is dealing with some sort of mental health issue. So I thought it would be good, since it's Mental Health Awareness Month, to maybe bring out some movies that maybe you've seen. Some of them, are pretty popular, but I tried to pick some that don't get talked about as much as some of the others. So I'm just going to jump right into it. And this first one stars Michael Douglas and Evan Rachel Wood, and it is called The King of California. Michael Douglas does a fantastic job of playing a dad who is just being released from a psychiatric hospital, and he is coming home to live with his daughter, and she really doesn't know what to expect. And when he gets there, he kind of has all these grand plans of things he's going to do, and she really isn't sure what to follow, what to believe, what's real, and what's just kind of what he's making up in his head, because she doesn't know how she really doesn't know where his mental state lies. But what she ends up doing is following him on one of his plans, and we go along for the ride, and it's really good, very touching in parts, and it really shows both sides of the coin, from being the person who has to kind of convince your family that you know what you're talking about, and then to be the family member who's kind of like, do I follow this, or do I just say, this is just him going off the deep end again. But really good stuff. If you haven't seen The King of California, really good. I really enjoyed it. Michael Douglas, of course, gives a great performance. Now, this one I've talked about many times on the channel. It is one of my favorite films of all time. It has 2 Academy Award nominations, one for Best Actress, one for Best Supporting Actress. It stars Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts, Ewan McGregor, Chris Cooper, Abigail Breslin, and Benedict Cumberbatch, and it is called August Osage County. And when I walked out of this movie, I remember saying to myself, Meryl Streep just gave an Academy Award winning performance. Now, she didn't win the Academy Award for this one. It was 2014. She didn't win, but she lost to Cate Blanchett, who won for Blue Jasmine. So I guess if you're going to lose an Academy Award nomination, if you're going to come in second or fourth or third or whatever she came in, Cate Blanchett would be the person to lose to, but I still think that Meryl Streep should have won for this one. In this movie, she plays a woman, a mother, a wife, who is struggling with a form of, I believe it's oral cancer. She's got addiction to different kinds of pills, prescriptions. She has tendencies like narcissistic personality disorder tendencies, even though they don't really come right out and say it, you see it. And what happens is her husband, played by Sam Shepard, he just goes missing. He's had it with her, and he just goes missing. So she calls up her kids, and she's like, you have to come and, you have to help me find your father. He's gone. So the kids come home, and they are one big dysfunctional family, but this is a wild ride. Like I said, Meryl Streep gives an amazing performance, one of her best ever, I think, personally. I mean, I am blown away by her every single time. The screenplay for this was written by Tracy Letts, who, if you don't know, he played the dad in Lady Bird, the movie Lady Bird, but he is a really good playwright, and he does some amazing work, and this is no exception. But this is so good. If you haven't seen August Osage County, please give it a watch, just to see these family members come together, deal with this difficult matriarch, deal with a situation where they're trying to find their father, figure out what happened, put all the pieces together, and kind of keep things in line and get the mother in order. It's a wild ride, and it's not just her. You see the family kind of come undone, and you see the broken pieces, but it's dysfunctional family at its finest, but really good stuff. If you haven't seen it, definitely give it a watch. Highest recommendation on that one. This one as well, it's Viggo Mortensen in Captain Fantastic. He and his wife are living with their children, and they're living off grid. They kind of don't deal with society, and we find out why later in the movie. I don't want to spoil it for you. I don't want to tell you their reason for doing this, but it is mental health related. There are things that are going on, things that are happening where he felt that it was best for his family to live off grid and learn to kind of fend for themselves without interacting with society if they don't have to. I don't want to say much more about this, but if you haven't seen this, it is amazing. It is so, so good. So definitely give Captain Fantastic a watch. There's not a lot I can say about it without ruining it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Now this one, I kind of always refer to this one as the forgotten Denzel Washington film. The only other person who really connects with me on this one is Joe Martinez over at Martinez Joe 74, Joe and Marie. I'll link them in the description. This one is called Antwone Fisher. And I believe the guy, yeah, he's in the Navy. The guy's, there's a young guy, he's in the Navy. And he has real anger issues. He's got a lot of hostility. He's got a short temper. He's having a lot of problems, a lot of confrontations. So he is sent to talk to a psychiatrist played by Denzel Washington, who kind of helps him unpack basically his triggers. And we get the story of this young man's life and the traumas that he has endured that made him into this person, this angry person. That he is, and why, you know, the things that cause him to lose his temper. And it is a moving story. This moved me to tears, and that's a tough thing to do, but I think it's a great movie. I think it really shows how important it is to deal with traumas in our lives, no matter when they happen, but especially a childhood trauma that you have carried your whole life. And great performances all around, very touching, very moving, and just really, really good. And like I say, it's the forgotten Denzel Washington movie, but please see Antwone Fisher if you haven't. It's really good stuff. And this is another great one. It stars Mark Ruffalo, and it is called Infinitely Polar Bear. It's based on a true story, which I don't know how many times I've watched this, but I never knew it was based on a true story for some reason. He is suffering with bipolar disorder, and he has a wife and 2 young girls. And the wife has an opportunity to go and basically make a better life for their family by pursuing, I believe it's another degree she's going to pursue, which would get her a better job and she'd make more money and they could live better. But it's away from where they live now, so she would have to be out of town. And she is worried about what to do with the 2 girls because she's afraid that he is not stable enough to take care of them, and he wants to prove to her, to himself, and to his girls that he is capable of being a dad. So we follow him and the family on their journey, trying to navigate keeping his mental health under control, taking care of his girls, and showing his wife that she can count on him to be her partner in life and to keep their family safe when she needs to do what she needs to do to move them forward. But really good stuff, very good role. Mark Ruffalo does a great job in this one. Not your typical role for him, but a really, really well done, really good job. So if you have not seen Infinitely Polar Bear, highly recommend it. Another one, this is based on a memoir, and it is called The Glass Castle. It stars Brie Larson, who won an Academy Award, Woody Harrelson, and Naomi Watts. And did she win? Yes, she did win for this one. So this is based on a memoir, and it is a family, again, living out in the woods. And her mother's kind of an artsy type. The whole family's kind of, I would say they're unconventional. Let's put it that way. And she has her own dreams and her own visions and things she wants for her future. And as time goes on, her father really starts to become, played by Woody Harrelson, really starts to become undone. And she just decides it's time to pack up and leave and just get away from it all. And that was it's very hard for her to get away from him because he wants the whole family to stay together pretty much forever. Like, he would have them like that forever. But he is just not in a good headspace. He's got issues with substance abuse, and he's really unpredictable. So I'm kind of going to leave it at that, but definitely a journey worth following. And very, very interesting stuff. And like I said, it is based on her memoir, so really interesting that it is actually a true story, and you see where she goes when she leaves home and what happens with her life. So really good stuff there. And this is one that I'm sure most of you have probably seen. Stars Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie in Girl Interrupted. And Winona Ryder plays a gal who is put into a psychiatric hospital, and they quite a cast. Winona Ryder, Whoopi Goldberg, Vanessa Redgrave, Angelina Jolie, who won Best Supporting Actress for this movie, and Winona Ryder is put in questionably for borderline personality disorder, so she is put into the psychiatric hospital, and we just follow her on her journey and how she interacts with all the different patients, how the girls interact together, things that happen, how they deal with the nurses and the doctors and the routine and things that happen. And I don't want to get into it because if you haven't seen it, I could very easily ruin it. If you have seen it, maybe pull it out and give it another watch. It does finally have a Blu-ray release. It just got a Blu-ray release within the last year. So if you're hanging on to the DVD, check it out on Amazon and upgrade to the Blu-ray. It is well worth it. And this is a great movie from 1999. So it's getting up there, but still holds up. And it's one I could watch over and over again. Really great performances all around. So don't sleep on that one. And it's just interesting to see how, you know, all these different gals and their, you know, their different mental health issues, how they kind of collide or they kind of help each other out, you know, where you're weak, I'm strong, that type of thing, or they kind of use it to beat down on someone. It's a very interesting dynamic between all the characters, and I think it's very well done. So check that one out. Now this one is one that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, but I thought it was a really good music biopic, and it's called Love and Mercy, and it's the story of the Beach Boys' Brian Wilson. It stars John Cusack, Paul Dano, Elizabeth Banks, and Paul Giamatti, and it says it's one of the best musical biopics in decades. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I enjoyed it. And we follow Brian Wilson, and Brian Wilson had a lot of demons, and I didn't know much about him going into this. I mean, of course, I knew the Beach Boys. I grew up hearing the Beach Boys, listening to the Beach Boys. They were very popular during the time when I was, you know, listening to, music on the radio. They were always on. But he had a lot of demons, and he had mental breaks, and he had breakdowns, and what ended up happening is he ended up being in a situation where he was forced to live with his psychiatrist, therapist, 24/7. Like, the psychiatrist lived with him all the time, and he wasn't exactly he didn't exactly have his best interests at heart. How about that? We'll just say that. And it is brilliantly played by Paul Giamatti, who's great in everything. But if you want to learn more about the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson in particular, who was played by both Paul Dano and John Cusack at different ages, obviously, but they both do a great job. If you want to learn more about him and his specific issues that he had, highly recommend Love and Mercy. Definitely check it out. You can pick it up right on Amazon, but it's good stuff. It was very eye-opening for me because, like I said, I went into it knowing nothing. And of course, I think most people have seen this one. Pete Davidson is the king of Staten Island, and this is loosely based on real events in his life. In this particular movie, he is suffering from grief at the death of his firefighter father. They don't get into the specifics as much, but Pete Davidson really did lose his father in 9/11, so that is true. But his character suffers from manic depressive episodes. He's self-medicating with marijuana. He wants to be a tattoo artist, but he can't get that going. Like, his life is just kind of spiraling into nothing, and everybody is sick of dealing with him. He drives everyone crazy. Every time he tries to do something right, it turns out wrong, and he's just really struggling with grief, mental health issues, self-medicating, you name it. He's struggling with it. And we follow him on his journey of trying to find himself and trying to find a path where he can come to terms with the things that have happened, and also maybe move forward in a way where he can kind of get a grip on his mental health and take care of himself the way he needs to, and be there for the people in his life who also need him to be present. But I thought this was really good. It's one of my favorite Judd Apatow movies. And I didn't really follow Pete Davidson before this. I think he did a great job in this, and of course, since it's loosely based on his life, of course, he had to star in it, but I thought he did a great job in this, and it's one that I go back to time and time again, so definitely recommend this one. Now, this one is an older one. I can't even find the year. Anyway, it is Joanne Woodward who stars in The Three Faces of Eve. And this is about multiple personality disorder. Now, at times this can feel a little dated. I recently rewatched it. It can feel a little bit dated, but if you don't see it for anything else, see it for Joanne Woodward's performance. She is amazing. I believe the three personalities that come out are White Eve, Black Eve, and Jane. But the real story was based on, it says film fact, it's right on the back. It says this film is based on a real life story of a South Carolina woman who ultimately manifested 22 different personalities over her lifetime. So if you're interested in multiple personality disorder, this is a really good one. And Joanne Woodward gives the performance of a lifetime. She is fantastic in this. So like I said, even though it feels a little dated at times, definitely worth seeing, if for nothing else, for her performance. She is fantastic. So I give this a high recommendation. It's one that I would definitely watch again and again. So that is The Three Faces of Eve. And this is another one. This is a good one. Now, this one deals with alcoholism, and I did have to look up, is alcoholism considered a mental health issue? And I believe they said it has been coined a mental health issue since, I believe it was 1956, either 1956 or 1952, somewhere in there. But it has since been known as a mental health issue because of the things that it causes. It causes anxiety, it causes depression, all kinds of things. But this is Jack Lemmon and Lee Remick in The Days of Wine and Roses. And this is just A to Z, a look at alcoholism and what it does to people and what it does to their relationships, and how it starts out as all, it's a good time, it's fun, it's this, it's that. And when maybe one of them decides to pursue sobriety, and if they both can't pursue sobriety, the ship's going to sink. But this really takes it's a good hard look at, alcoholism. And I thought this was very realistic feeling. And even today, I feel like it holds up because I've watched it recently, getting ready for this video. And to me, it held up. And I could watch Jack Lemmon in anything. So I think he was fantastic in this, a more dramatic role for him. And he was very, very good. They're both very good, but he in particular is very, very good. So if you haven't seen The Days of Wine and Roses, definitely give it a look. And this last one, I threw this one in because, we talk about multiple personalities. What does it better than James McAvoy in Split? If you haven't seen Split, it's one of my favorite M. Night Shyamalan films, and I think he has 23 personalities that come out to his psychiatrist, and we see him go through them. Sometimes he's rapidly transitioning, it seems, in the movie, but I think James McAvoy gave a fantastic performance showing each personality coming out and how each personality just had its own total. Each one is a total change from the one before. So if you haven't seen Split, I'm not going to give anything away because with M. Night Shyamalan, it's all about the twists and the turns and the ending and whatnot. But just see it for his performance alone, if nothing else. It is really, really good. It's fantastic. And again, talk about multiple personalities. You're getting it all right here, and it's a really good movie to boot. So I think it's great. But those are the ones that I picked out. If you have any suggestions for movies that deal with mental health issues, things like that, leave them in the comments. I always appreciate your comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the topic. I think it's an important topic, and I think we need to keep it in the mainstream conversation, not just for the month of May, but all the time. And, we all struggle with something. Let's be honest. And in today's world, I think it's more important than ever to create safe spaces for people to feel like, you know, they can say when they're struggling, and to be there for that person when they need someone to listen. So thank you again for watching this video so much. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me some comments, suggestions, recommendations. You know the drill. If you like these kind of videos, consider subscribing. Hit the bell notification so you know when I upload. I have some things coming for you soon this week because I just got some really cool review stuff in. I have other things I want to show you. I have some collections that I want to get into showing you. We're just going to keep rolling because I'm back, kind of, sort of, at 10:21 at night, but I'm here. All right, so I'm going to go to bed because I'm tired. So for now, that's a wrap.